It's MJ. How are you? So, today I want to talk about why does the truth hurt? You know how people say, like, people don't want to hear the truth hurts, yada yada. So, the truth hurts again, it's all wrapped around our collective burden of the fact that we've been living in denial of our emotional body. We've been trying to suppress our divine connection for whatever many veiled reasons, right? And we're starting to recognize that this denial, this disconnection of our broader self, of our divine self, is really kind of corrupting the world that we perceive. So, once we start to align ourselves with that emotional connection, the truth hurts because we realize that it is really in our own self that we perpetuate painful patterns. And we perpetuate painful patterns by not getting clear by how we feel, by not getting clear about our own emotional connection and our own desired projections. Ultimately, because we have this veil and because collectively there is this kind of emotional burden, part of staying locked in low level frequency patterns is really basically just not owning what you've created. So often, because the truth hurts, because we don't want to have to look at all the chaos and be like, and then also we don't want to have to feel the pain and say, wow, I have a lot of pain. And also, will have people around us often reflecting back the blame culture, right? Reflecting back, like, yeah, that pain has nothing to do with you. It's the other person caused you the pain. And then we'll get locked into those judgments because it assuages the pain we feel inside. The ego masks pain, and then we'll create other situations that will keep pumping up against those judgments. But ultimately, we every day, in every single moment, we have a choice to choose to say, okay, I created this, I did this, and the reason I'm feeling all of these feelings is because I have these active vibrations, or I have these active stories about people, about situations, whatever, right? The whole, like, I guess, head fuck about all this stuff is that what we've been taught to believe isn't the truth. And so, the truth, when the light of truth enters our beingness, the truth starts to heal us. And healing is feeling pain, feeling stories of separation and distortion and judgment spinning out around us, right? Creating situations which cause stress and pressure because we're not connected. And so once we start to commit to our own connection and commit to our own expansion and commit to our own divine and sort of loving fulfillment, when we really start to commit to our divine expression and divine life force, so being infinite creators, that spark of truth that you are the ultimate creator of the world that you see will start to heal you. And yet, it's painful emotionally because we have to integrate so much. At any point, we can choose something different. We can choose to judge, we can choose to please other people's judgments. Now, that's something as well that we can get caught in because of the illusion. Because, yeah, but it's my friend, or it's my family, or it's my whatever. And yet, people around us can be in their suffering patterns. People around us can be in pain and want to judge other people. That's kind of where we start to get into the subtleties of this energy work, and it's deep. It's not just about physical abuse. There is multi-layered abuses happening from within self because we're disconnected, because we're afraid to feel the depth of our power, of what we really are. And potentially because at some point in our existence, maybe we did use our power for darkness. Maybe we did. Who knows? The point is, we're here now, and do we choose? Do we choose to use our power for harmony, for forgiveness, for owning where we create the distortion? Owning how our past projections have created a situation. And ultimately, all we can do as individuals is find harmony within self. Forgive it all. Let it go. You know, ultimately, people will just choose what they want to choose, and forcing one another to align with certain ways of seeing the world is not our job. You know, I recognize that very truly, that my only work is to keep working on myself. You know, my only work is to keep loving and keep improving. And also, what I'm seeing in this dynamic shift of energies right now is like, what love eventually does as well is it gives us permission to energetically not tolerate. Like, whereas when we're moving from like a lot of people pleasing patterns or pretty deep unworthiness patterns, and we're wanting to continue to move forward, love will also show us where there's disconnection and distortion and give us the courage to let that go. And that the letting go process is super bittersweet, because there is a lot of love. There is a lot of love for humanity, and oftentimes we can really put a lot of love and energy into something and not have it be received. Actually have it be wildly misunderstood. And so, as empaths or sensitives, we have to continue to permission ourselves to love self, to love all other regardless. But also, if there's some shady shit going on that your intuition can feel into, it's your choice if you want to go back into that kind of energy or liberate yourself, right? Because it's ultimately the energy. It's not an attack or a judgment on a person or a group of people. Oneself knows the love. So we permission ourselves to continue on our own expansive journey, to continue on the life path that we are meant to lead. And ultimately, the people who are aligning, who are vibrating with us, who are really picking up on those energies, they will come and meet us, you know? And that's something where I can feel my energy letting it go. Like, stop trying to get, you know, stop trying to get people to do anything at all, ultimately, you know? And accept that the right people who are really meant for you, they just show up. And they show up because they desire a similar vision. You know, that's part of holding this kind of really clear energy for me and my life purpose at this point in my life, to be energetically exact about the kind of abundance, the kind of feelings, the kind of, you know, love and heldness and supportedness and the depth of commitment to that vision and to the creation of that vision, not just for oneself, but for the story of humanity. You know, recognize that as individuals, we are the total as well. So if we truly want to see humanity lift itself up, we have to do that in our life. We have to be willing to really step into our lightness and express the truth of who we are. And it is scary because the truth hurts. People will ridicule. People will attack. You know, I've had people like actually like go like that when I walk into a room, right? And it really is because of lightness and density. Oftentimes, when we continue to step into our power, other people want nothing to do with it because the truth hurts. Because suddenly, that person stepping into their light shines light onto our darkness. And then when that darkness gets triggered, we don't want to have to deal with it. We don't want to have to feel it. We don't want to have to look at it. We certainly don't want to have to own it as our own. We just want to make it they're wrong, they're bad, they've fucked it, they're silly, they're unstable, they're whatever. And here's another nice thing to remember oftentimes when we're sitting in that sense of like kind of energetically or verbally or physically, you know, being attacked, that what people say about other people is really ultimately more of a reflection of themselves. You know, what in any given moment when we're discussing another, we're actually just discussing self. We're discussing an aspect of ourselves that we don't want to look at, right? But we're painting a picture like that's them. That's their issue, right? Which is why as empaths, we have to get incredibly clear about who am I? What are my intentions? What are my choices? And that's when I can look at an entire sort of bubble of the situation and know that I am clear. Know that, you know, I did my best. There was no, you know, gossip. There was no back talk. There was no games ultimately, right? And that's unfortunately when we're talking about people with other people, is as pure as we think our intentions are. When we get into that kind of energy, it's hurtful, and it basically says more about who we are as the gossipers than the person we're gossiping about. Because I can honestly say, once you're really locked into your flow and your purpose, like, talking about people in a negative way really doesn't come into the mix. It's more ideas and transformation and enlightenment, because it's a choice to see everybody in the light. It's a choice to know that, like, and ultimately part of letting go is, like, they know not what they do. If they're choosing judgment, they're focused on the judgment, so they don't even see that there's another way of being. So me holding any kind of grievance or judgment or attack is also a waste of my own energy. So I can just love, but then be in my power. And then be responsible myself, as far as, like, oh yeah, those fucking old stories, I'm so done with them. You know, I'm so done with tolerating and being involved with that kind of insidious energy when I know it's going on. But people, and here's where the rise of the prophets, or the rise of the empaths in this age of Aquarius, in this age of information and transparency, the more empaths kind of, like, come out of their shell and start to get clear. And this is where we're lifting the lid, right? This is where we're shining light, because feeling into what's going on inside people, knowing that they might say one thing but the intention is different, right? So this is where being clear is, like, super powerful nowadays, because the energy of love is not going to tolerate insidious behavior for self. So when you're on the self-love journey, eventually, yeah, if there's shady shit going on and people around you, they will fall away. You know, they will make choices that would just literally kind of cut you out, because they're not vibrating in the same frequencies anymore, right? They're choosing judgment and attack versus harmony and resolution, or versus open and honest communication. You know, and that is liberating, right? Because it frees us to continue to love self, and can continue to yoke manifestation. Because if we know that we've suddenly been able to own and transform a really kind of dark and painful situation, and then harmonize it and love it within self, so all's forgiven, all's clear, then that permissions us to keep moving up, right? And anyone owning their shit and transforming and choosing to rise in love, you know, choosing to express their truth and choosing to speak up against injustices and be willing to really express their truth in the world. You know, this is the energy that is ushering us right now. And we're living in that timeline. We either choose it now, or we live in darkness and we keep repeating cycles of pain until we choose to own the pain. That's the responsibility factor. That's why, you know, in the scriptures, it's all about know thyself, because no one can do this work for you. It is divine. It's totally divine, but it's inside of us. Everything outside of us is an illusion of our own creation. So what we choose to see is our choice. And if we're not in the flow, if we're not in the love vibes, then start to look at what you're choosing. Start to look at what your mind is choosing to believe about the situations around you, because it's all inside of you. It's all inside of you. And that, my friends, is why the truth hurts, because healing in these bodies, energetically speaking, healing in these bodies, we experience as emotional pain. And if we don't deal with the emotional pain, it will become physical ailments, suffering. Right? So once you start to really get sensitive and deal and own and transform all those little emotional triggers and storms, it is tangible. You will start to rise. But the thing is that you have to keep choosing that, because it keeps coming. Those waves, those densities in the collective keep coming up. There's a lot of insidious, there's a lot of sort of almost like a tornado-like distortion from that core wound of separation, thinking that what we feel could have anything to do with something outside of us. That's what we're healing. So the truth of light does heal, and that is a painful thing. That's why the truth hurts. However, if you're owning your truth and you're owning your pain, life will just get better and better and better. Because you will continue to clear out density, which gives you room, access, and space from within your own consciousness to be able to direct thought in a direction that serves you. And if it serves you on the highest good in your most elevated state, then it serves the entire collective. How fucking beautiful is that, my friends? That our highest joy is the highest joy for all. It's miraculous. Life is truly miraculous. Love you guys. I hope that was useful to you. Buy the book, subscribe. I post pretty much every effing day, yo. Boo, boo, boo. Got myself some spiritual insights, juicing, channeling. I love you guys so much. And take care of yourself and love yourself and be strong and be willing to be who you are, because you are the most important thing in all of creation. And if you don't believe that, then you'll just stay on this sort of enslavement pattern of just constantly trying to please everybody around you. It's really tough because most people are just stuck in control, power and control. You know, they just want to be able to control everybody around them to keep their little illusion in place. So if you want to break through the illusion of limitation, then face your fears, own and transform them, and choose to hang out and choose to be around people who make you feel good and light and in love and totally good about who you are, you know? Peace out, guys.